Welcome back to the Jameson Files. I'm Carrie Weber, and I'm so happy to be back in another episode. And I'm here with the amazing Lorie Streeter. Those of you that are office managers that are part of the Jameson Files community, Lorie Streeter is no stranger to you. I know she's not. She has been a deeply influential person in the dental space for, my goodness, Lorie, at least the past 20 years. I'm
Oh,
sure longer than that, probably. So you'll have to give me a little backstory on that. But Lorie is now the VP of U.S. expansion for MaxAssist, and I'm just so grateful that even through all of your time with ADOM, in leadership in ADOM, and in your own coaching and in your own leadership content that you put out in the world for office managers and practice leaders to benefit from. I'm so grateful that we have stayed in contact and connected through every element of change. And just so grateful that you're going to give me some time here on the Jameson Files. So thanks for being with me, friend.
thank you, Carrie. It's very good to be here. I'm very happy. I think I've been in dentistry at least a hot minute. So actually, the full range is 36 years. That's a
Wow.
long time. I know. I keep thinking, like, when you're 2 years old, how did I get in dentistry that young? And it's such a bad joke, but I'm like, it just has flown by and it's been so good to me. So dentistry is the way that we meet other people like you and I, and that we can support each other. And thank you. Your success is all of our success. So it's super fun.
Oh, I love that. It's funny you say, the over 30 years. And I was presenting to a group last week and I said, I can still remember when I was the youngest person on the team. That is no longer the case. I'm definitely in the upper echelon of the team age. So it's
Or
it's funny how
experience.
quickly more
Experience.
experience. That's right.
That's right.
Um, Time flies when you're having fun, right? But
Dentistry
speaking
is
of,
fun. Let's
oh,
face
for
it.
sure. And with dentistry, what we have decided we're going to talk about, because we had so many things that we could have talked about, Lorie.
Yes.
But we've
For
decided is, time flies, and with time comes evolution, and with time comes change. And let's spend our time together today in this session talking about change management, because I'm sure those of you that are part of our community here or watching or listening, if you are a leader on a team, if you're a leader in a practice, if you're a doctor, an office manager, or even a team lead of any nature,
Yeah.
you are likely going to find yourself in the position where you have to lead change. And that is a really challenging journey to take other people on with you.
Yeah.
And man, Laura, you've experienced it personally, and you experience it professionally. You're a part of a team of a service now that is really on the front lines of change in our profession, in the industry. And so, I just, I want to know from your perspective, when you think about leading change and leading a team in
Yeah.
change, what have you experienced in that? And what do you think are some of the biggest obstacles? Um, any lessons learned on your end from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, lots of change this year. I will be the first to say that roller coasters are not fun. However,
Mm,
if I think about being an office manager and from a change management perspective, I think the biggest thing, and I did write notes, I did do my homework a little bit. So, if I look at my notes here and there, as I had a lot of thoughts I wanted to share. So,
yeah.
number one, change is not logistical. Change is emotional.
Mm,
And as leaders and people in business, everybody always says, leave the emotion out of it. Well, I'm sorry, that's not realistic, especially as an office manager or a business owner. There
mhm.
is going to be emotion involved in change. There's no getting around it. And for me, I think, as I thought through this and how we were going to position things from a change perspective, what does the emotion of change look like? A lot of times we're like, oh, they're defensive. Oh, they're rigid. They don't want to do it. It's not about that. It's about fear. what's going to happen? What if this is not as good as it was before? What if I'm not good at it? Like if you're implementing something new in the practice, a process, a software, a marketing perspective, the person usually just thinks, what if I'm not that good at it? They're used to what they're used to. And as a leader, you want to be able to foster open communication so that people aren't as resistant to change. And remember, it's emotional. There's nothing we can do about that. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it, Carrie. I don't know. I'm at the age now where emotions are prevalent, and
Mm.
I'm tired of apologizing on calls for being vulnerable. I love that word. So I don't know if you've experienced it this way, but I think people who don't think there's emotion to change are like not on point. And yeah,
Well, I think, I agree because change is uncomfortable. Exactly to your point that you're asking a person to adjust or adapt the habits that they have, their routine, their habits, the way that they've been comfortable doing something for who knows how long. And, in a lot of my studies on leadership and customer service, I am a bit obsessed with the Ritz Carlton with a gentleman by the name of Horst Schulze, who is the former president and COO of that company, and launched their first 50 hotels. And, they study a lot of customer service, and they train that in their teams. And
sure.
he talks about behavior, setting expectations of behavior, which I think change is a behavior adjustment
Hmm.
in a lot of ways when you're introducing something new to someone that they have to implement. And our behaviors, what they learned is that our behaviors are set when we become adults.
Yeah.
And so that makes it even more difficult for us as adults. I mean, we were just joking about it before we went on live because we were talking about as we get older and technology continues to just
Evolve.
change the way we behave and interact with the world at light speed. And we're hitting ages now where we're like, okay, now I don't understand. And
Right.
but our kids, the youth, the young can adjust like this because
Right.
their behaviors are more flexible at that point. So change becomes emotional no matter what age we're at, but especially in adulthood because it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We have to
And
work through that.
there was a consultant, and I won't mention him at this point, but he said, used to say something about there's no comfort in the growth zone, no growth in the comfort zone. And that's
Mm,
with me for the longest time, because at the end of the day, that's so true. And, my lens is usually the office manager. So I'm looking at everything through, because I was an office manager for 12 years, the first part of my career. And there was always change. I mean, when I started, Carrie, I was like using a ledger, like the big board with the,
yeah.
yeah, the thing. It's almost like the old, people don't even know what the credit card charge swiper thing was that we used to carry that big bulky, and it had suction cups on the bottom and it stuck to the desk. You like had to pull it
Yes.
anyway. So my point is, from an office manager lens, I think that that really good office managers, and of course dental leaders of any kind, but really good office managers can be change translators. So they
Mm,
take kind of the vision of whatever the change is, and they act as the middle person to take that to the team. And I think the biggest gimme that office manager can have in terms of how to evolve with that change is really making it sound like, act like, find the what's in it for us. What's in it for us? What
yes.
does this change mean for us? And I think that was such a big part of my career growing up in ADOM and every place else, is that there's always going to be change. But if you kind of
Mm,
spin it to win it, so to speak, you might have a really good opportunity to help the adoption of whatever it is that you're putting into play, if you have that translation ability. And office managers are a really good bridge point for that, because they can look at things from both sides. They want to support the owner, they also want to support their team. So what does that conversation look like in the middle that says, hey, this WIFM's for us, we're doing
yes.
this so we can grow, so we can get bigger and better, if that helps.
Yes. I mean, the what's in it for us What are the benefits of this? How's this gonna serve me personally if
Mhm.
I initiate, if I do the work to
Yeah.
initiate this new habit or this new technology tool, whatever, into the workflow of my days? That benefit conversation. And also, I add on to that, Lori, the why behind the what, because you said, that being that translator piece for office managers, doctors and office managers, those that have a clear vision
Mhm.
of where we're taking this practice, what right looks like for this business, and why this decision or implementing this tool
Mhm.
helps us serve that vision or pursue that vision, that's a really important key piece to that conversation as well.
For sure.
And I also think if you're going to initiate any type of change, especially if it's going to be a significant adaptation to their workflow,
Yeah. Right?
you've got to be ready for repetition
Mhm.
because I don't know. I feel like there's some frustration from leadership to team because we're like, well, we already told them, or we went through the training one time, or
Mhm.
everybody said we were all in the meeting together. Everybody heard the same message, but the thing is that until it becomes a habit, we're going to have
Sure.
to repeat that message and repeat that training and continue to practice until the discomfort becomes more comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that uh, we don't put a lot of understanding into as leaders and kind of prepare ourselves emotionally for of like, man, I'm going to
Mhm.
have to really guide this conversation and guide this team towards this change for a while.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, you need their buy-in. And especially, I think sometimes, I don't know, if you get one person's buy in, it's a little bit easier to get the later adopters in. So you need some
Mhm.
early adopters. You need to get buy in. You need to understand your why. I agree with all those things. I did on Lorie Streeter Maxed Out, I did a series called Atomic Habits Dental Edition. And it
Oh, I
talked
love it.
small incremental changes too. Like if you can take a big change process and break it down into small chunks where you're kind of winning as you go, it's a lot easier than dropping something, like a hot potato on everybody where they're like, oh my gosh. Because then as a leader, then you're leading through uncertainty because everybody's looking at you going, why did we do this so fast? Why didn't anybody check in with me? There's all the things. So buy-in is critical. And I think in small incremental changes, if you can, sometimes that's not always an option, but if you can do the small incremental things, it makes it a lot easier. It's kind of like chewing your food in slow bites versus trying to
Yes.
swallow a yam. You're like, hey, that could be a shirt. Don't swallow the yam. Right. I am all about, trying to lead through change. And honestly, getting that buy-in is critical because if you don't have it, it makes the whole change like an uphill battle versus everybody's kind of rowing in the same direction. So
Yeah.
patience first, trust, that all leads to really good buy-in.
So, that fear factor, the discomfort that brings the emotion and emotion into play, the getting that
Sure.
buy-in and understanding of, getting that buy-in, getting everybody on board for it. What other obstacles do you think there are, or what do you think that leaders don't do it intentionally enough
Sure.
when it comes to implementing something new?
Yeah, I think two things. So I have two different lenses, right? So for 17 years at ADOM, I looked at hundreds and hundreds of office manager topics, complaints, all the things. I shouldn't say hundreds, probably millions at this point. And then
Right.
now that I work for a software company, different lens. This is what this looks like, and here's why. So, two things I think I've learned from my time at ADOM. I would say that office managers that really care about their practices have a vested interest in the practice as if it's their own. It was
Mm,
amazing to me to see an office manager who could look at KPIs and a P&L and really own it. Like that's the kind of office managers that are out there. There's some really, really good ones. And, to me, owning something as if it's yours, but it really isn't at the end of the day, the benefit is for the dentist or the practice owners. That takes moxie. And that type of person can vent and talk about their frustrations, but at the end of the day, they're coming back into the practice ready to go, ready to make the
Right.
change. The other lens is like looking at it from a software perspective. So I know that a lot of people are challenged by their tech stack and by, implementing change, all the confusion about AI. There's a lot of questions out there. I think the best time that change is the most palpable is when we understand just what you said. Why are we doing it? How are
Mm-hmm.
we how are we going to do this for our patients, for our team, for the growth of the practice, and how does it benefit the entire team? So putting all those things into place, looking at it from those kind of lenses, I would say it's okay to be frustrated and to be worried about change, but to show up as if your change means that the patient really gets the best outcome. That's always the reason to do it. I think it's perfectly fine to ask questions, Carrie. I think it's perfectly
Yes.
fine to not be resistant to change, but more curious. Why are we doing this? Who's it going to impact? And what's the benefit going to be? And I think that kind of conversation fosters connection. Connection, fosters trust. And when there's trust, everybody will be on board. So it's just as simple. I know it sounds simple when we're talking about it, but those are kind of some steps from my
Yeah.
lenses to getting to that outcome. Because we all, we can't be afraid of change, and that we get stalled and we don't want to do anything because we just like the way it's always been. I call those office managers pirates because
Mm-hmm.
I love my spreadsheet. I mean, it's just, and God love you. They're still out there. And that, change is like a currency for the practice. So if they look at it from a monetization standpoint, every time you make an incremental change that you all really feel is going to benefit everyone, man, everybody wins. Like it's just a win-win
Yes.
all the way around. It's like, think about when implementing, like I was thinking about when I was in practice, like when they came out with a way where I didn't have to stand in the hygienist room and take down the 3, 4, 6, 10.
Right.
I was like, come on, I got work to do. I don't want to be standing here writing down numbers. If you think about all the things that have changed over the years, that's why
Mm-hmm.
everybody's so afraid of AI, right? At the end of the day, I was talking to a good friend of mine who just put on a big conference, and he was saying, he goes, yeah, he goes, we're going to look behind the kimono. He goes, we're going to look at AI top to bottom. And I love that reference. I'm like, wow, we're going to open it wide up and really talk about it. So, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think one of the biggest things that's scaring everybody is AI. And I think
Yeah.
that, you know, I, from my lens, I'm embracing it totally.
Yes.
ChatGPT probably knows me better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we all talk to it like a friend. We have to be careful, but I think from my perspective, that's one of the things that's really tripping people up right now.
Yeah. Man, you said so many good things in that little blip. That I just want to support. You know, number one, if you are a practice leader and you want to be next level, having a sense of ownership
Mhm.
of your role and almost that sense of ownership for the success of the practice, that level
Yeah.
of commitment.
Yep.
Number 1, business owners, doctors, practice owners, they are looking for you.
Yeah.
They
For sure.
they they want a partner. They want somebody that's
Mhm.
gonna co-lead with them and
Yes.
help carry what they are feeling is a burden. It's really a privilege. But when they don't have support, they feel very isolated. And it starts to feel more like a burden to lead a team. And so when you have co-leaders in your practice or in your business, that's such a tremendous relief. And so if you are one of those people, continue to invest in yourself, to be that kind of take initiative type leader from within, because those are Seth Godin has a book called Lynchpin, and it talks about how are you making yourself indispensable
Yeah.
in your team, in your work. And that is such a huge opportunity for office managers, but that's not something that just gets fed to you.
Mhm.
You must lead within, from within, and develop your skills to be an exceptional leader. And the tools that you're talking about, Lorie, that's a thing. I get on rants sometimes, especially when I'm lecturing, because so many people just want to complain about how hard something is, but they don't do the work. They're not self-starter enough to go seek out resources, training, information to maximize the tools that they have at their in their toolbox.
Right. Yeah.
I I rant at people all the time. I said, you have resources, software, tools, technology, um, solutions for your patients that you already have invested into your practice that you aren't even using to its 20% capacity. And you want to argue that you haven't had enough training. Well, go find it.
Yeah.
Go find a trainer, go find the resources online, go watch the video. You're never going to improve your competency in these tools unless you commit to be a student.
Right.
And that leads us into your AI statement because that is that's the next frontier. I
Hmm.
mean, we're in it. It's not even that it's coming. It's here.
Yeah,
It's here in dentistry. It's here in the clinical side. And Lorie, as you know, with MaxAssist, it's here in the business side.
for sure.
And the question is, are you going to be afraid of it or are you going to be an adaptable leader
Yeah.
and adapt to the next evolution of dentistry? Just like you said, from how we used to schedule 30 years ago versus how we schedule today. What,
Yeah.
how we used to, all the clinical tools we had 30, 40 years ago versus what they have at their fingertips today. It's light years.
Yeah.
And things that are just like household terms now, like you would, patient financing, digital radiography, even I remember, I mean, aligners haven't been around that long, and I remember when that first came out, people thought, oh, this is a sacrilege. And
Voodoo.
now all of a sudden, like, how many practices have it
Do
now?
it. Yeah.
Every other practice now does it. And so
Yeah.
it's just interesting how we evolve. We see this a lot in our coaching, but also in marketing's evolution, based upon consumer behavior, based upon technology and AI and all of those things. That's going to continue to evolve. But AI is here, and it not only is helping in diagnosis and treatment presentation and treatment acceptance, but it's helping in efficiency. It's helping in insurance management. It's helping. I mean, it's helping as that personal assistant piece.
Yeah.
um, so Laura, you're in this new phase, a new chapter of your life with MaxAssist. I mean, you're really hitting AI head on. And what is it that you're hearing? What do you foresee?
Yeah.
What are these early adopters really experiencing by jumping in with both feet and taking initiative with this?
It's a great question. And to support a couple of your points, from an adaptability standpoint, is one of the notes that I wrote down. I think adaptability should be celebrated because
Hmm.
it causes a ripple effect in the practice. And I think what's so interesting about, the juxtaposition of where I sit now versus where I sat before, is that, I've had to look at AI head on. We call our AI actionable intelligence, but one of the things that hit me most recently was I was doing a video about Max Assist and I had a TikTok follower write, "Oh, great, you're talking about something that's going to replace us."
Mm.
Let me pause for just a second here, Carrie. So, first of all, people might be afraid of that, but absolutely nothing is going to replace human connection.
Right.
Connection is always going to be at the forefront. There isn't a software, there isn't a phone system, there isn't a PMS system. There is nothing out there that will ever take the place of the front office. And it's funny, there's those of us, I don't know if you go into, not that I go into McDonald's very often, but just going to McDonald's and you see like the wall and you like pick your, order, blah, blah. I don't want to do that. I want to talk to the girl behind the counter. She has a job and is making her hourly wage because she has a role, not to just
Hmm.
take it on the computer screen. So I think there's some of us that are not just not able to adapt, but are making the choice to say, how can I use it where it fits my life, my
Yes.
practice, my schedule? I know for us, we're more of a productivity tool at the end of the day. Our AI is designed to make a workflow smoother, better, faster, and not to throw in a commercial, but I think people are genuinely afraid, Carrie, that AI will replace them. And as
Mm.
long as we're all breathing, I don't think in my generation or yours that is going to happen anytime soon. And don't think I didn't just see the robot that just got announced that he's going to like mop your floor and lift your groceries. I was like, I think I need that robot, but I'm also afraid that he'd be standing over me in the middle of the night. So
Yeah.
I think there is some logical fear, but when you adapt to something new, any kind of technology, but let's say for this conversation, especially I would ask myself a series of questions. One, what does it do? Is it going to replace something? Is it going to make something in my practice run smoother? What are the challenges? And what is the viability of the adaptability and the adoption in the practice? So if people come into it, it always cracks me up when people go, oh, that's never going to work. Because
Oh, right.
for you, honey, it ain't never going to work because that's your stance. I think intention with bringing something in like AI, no matter what it is, I won't name the company, but I actually did a phone call with an AI receptionist recently. And I'll tell you the very first thing that I liked about it was that they said right away, this is an AI generated conversation, blah, blah, blah. So I knew what I was getting into. And the truth of the matter is, we've all been AI'd for the last probably 3 years, with
Yeah.
Amazon and other things. It was just prepping us, right? And getting us ready.
Right.
So now that it's really hit dentistry, I think the thing that we all have to be aware of, whether it's AI or other things, is that dentistry used to change once a year. Now it's like once a month. We're
Yes.
usually behind medical a little bit, but we're moving faster and faster all the time. So I don't know. From an AI conversation, like I said, we call ours actionable intelligence because we know that the AI thinks smarter, faster, more logical than we do because that's the way it's prone to learn. And once it does that, it's going to make things more efficient because it's taking that guesswork out for us. I don't know about you, but if I could walk into a dental practice, sit down and have somebody tell me the 10 steps to run the office from start to finish, Carrie, I didn't have that. I
Yeah.
had to figure it all out for myself. And in one way, it was good to build up that confidence of I know what I'm doing. But with people saying that they're so shorthanded now and not being able to get people to show up for interviews, let alone their first day of work, I want something right there that's going to help me teach the person that's fairly new how to do it in the most systematic way. So
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, AI doesn't scare me in the slightest. It will maybe when it carries my groceries and calls Roger Sweetie, my husband. But other than that, right now, I'm all in. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I feel. I don't know about you, but I'm all in
I think everybody needs to understand that dentistry is and will continue to be a service business.
for sure.
So there will always be human to human contact.
That's
And
right.
so we have to continue to work on our service skills. And,
Hmm.
what I think AI does um, in all aspects of the practice is it helps us to be more consistent,
Hmm.
and consistency is such a huge obstacle in dental practices.
Yeah.
But it helps us be more consistent. It helps us with, in the clinical side, it helps with patient education and visual aids, and human beings are visual learners. So it gives you these tools, both as the clinicians and the providers and the team preparing for patient flow that day to have an awareness and a more intention to what we need to be talking about with patients coming in. But from the business side, there's a huge opportunity for efficiency and the management of our time and the prioritization of time.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, Lorie, how many office managers over the years have you talked to that feel so overwhelmed? There's just so much, they have to do so many things, so
Many
many
hats.
things. And
Hmm.
we wear that like a badge of honor, our
Right.
busyness, our
Yep.
busyness. So if
Yep.
anything, what AI is going to provide an opportunity for and actually force us to look in the mirror about
Mhm.
is how are we prioritizing our time? And are we using our time to do the things that are most important in our role?
Yeah.
Because now we're going to have these tools that help us to execute some of those tasks
Mhm.
in a more intentional way so that you can work on the important aspects of leading a team and a practice to success and to the vision of the doctor and the owner,
Yeah.
which I think great office managers, that's your priority.
Yeah.
That is the priority. And
Yeah.
if we're busy in the tasks, then um, you're actually ignoring where you can make the biggest difference as a
Yeah.
leader in
And
your
not leave.
practices. So
Yeah.
AI's coming,
Yeah.
and we would all benefit from doing our homework and
Mhm.
learning about it, and
Yeah.
playing in the AI realm, and getting comfortable with that and adapting to that,
Yeah.
because it's not going anywhere.
And talk about change. I mean, I wrote this down too. Like for me, communication, it's like
Mm,
change currency. So if you are an office manager, and I'll say that again because I like when I wrote it down, I thought, wow, that's really cool. So communication is change currency. So
yes.
I think everything you're saying, Carrie, is spot on. And I think that not only is AI coming, it's here to stay.
Hmm.
And we can either embrace it or we can push it away and become a pirate, right? So I think that if we're not asking you to swallow the whole yam like up front, we're basically saying that for even for doctors listening, how you communicate your intention with why you're bringing in AI, whether it be those visual aids or be a communication software or something that's going to take a little bit of the control off the team and a little bit in the hands of automation, communication is
Mm,
going to be key. And I think everybody knowing, back to your original point, the why we're doing it is the real deal. And if you have
mm,
some team members that are going to be averse to change, back to my let them dental edition, just let them
yeah.
feel the way they feel, and notice that you need to make them feel more comfortable. And I agree with you, whether it's education or being in a group where people talking about these things. I know there's a couple educators out there that specifically talk about AI in the dental sphere. I think it's so
Hmm.
important to just keep educating yourself because it's not going away. And if you want to stay relevant and knowledgeable in your practice, you're going to embrace that AI. And you're going to, I think for me, I look back now and I think, how did I do all these things? Like
Hmm.
I can take a whole afternoon and block myself out and try to gather my thoughts about something, or I can work with an AI partner and come up with the most amazing ideas because over time it gets to know you and it gets to know your
Yes.
thought processes about things. So I wouldn't be scared of it. I would be curious and I would be open to learning. That would be my advice.
Curious is one of my favorite words.
Me too. Me
I would
too.
say that when we hire people at Jameson, I want people that are passionately curious
Mhm.
about whatever aspect of service that they're providing on our
Mhm.
team. I want them passionately curious about that because they have to be continuous learners and
Yeah.
continuous developers because everything changes so fast, especially
Right.
on our marketing side. But I love this, Lori, that communication is change currency. I love that. I think that's going to be our takeaway message from this. That if this is something that you are starting to be curious about,
Mhm.
that we need to do the work. Get clear on the vision, get clear on the why behind whatever you're introducing, and then, as my mother says, repetition is the key to learning.
Yeah.
So put that message on repeat, put that
Yeah.
training on repeat, and
Mhm.
help the uncomfortable team members get comfortable
Yeah.
with whatever the new thing is. I love that you referenced James Clear in the beginning, those small steps, those tiny
Yeah.
disciplines,
Mhm.
those atomic habits,
Yeah.
that can really help. And some people can change at light speed. Some people take time, and
Yeah.
we need everybody. So we've got to
Yes.
make room for whatever people need to adapt. That's
Yeah.
great leaders are going to provide that kind of environment.
Yeah, I went to coaching school for 5 years of my career. So while I was at ADOM, one of the things our former president really believed in was that everybody should have like a side hustle, which I think
Mm,
is kind of fun. She was always about that. So I had told her I wanted to go to coaching school, and she said, "Well, what are you going to get out of it for ADOM?" And I shared with her the steps and the processes and some of the outline. And one of the biggest takeaways I had from coaching school was that curiosity replaces judgment. So
mm,
if you're curious about something, you're not judging it, right? And there's
yeah,
no way to be graceful as a leader when you're trying to put others, like if you're holding them in possibility and you're looking at them with curiosity, like, wow, I wonder why Shannon's not like getting this. Like, let me dive into this more. That's very different than, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of Shannon not getting this. I mean,
yeah,
the whole curiosity takes all the judgment away, and then next thing you know, we're leaders. And
yeah.
it can happen that fast if you just stay curious. So I love that you love that word too. It's one of my favorites. And I don't know about you, I've had about enough change this year. I don't think I need any more.
You're good.
I'm good. I've hit the mark. At 56, if you would have said, Laura, you're going to learn how to work for a software company, I would have been like, Carrie Weber, you bite your tongue. Well, let's go sing another song because I am not doing that. But here I am doing that. And that's been the joy here, is that take all of the, I work here and you work there and we own these business, take all that away. What I really learned is that I wanted to be so impactful at the practice level. Like, it's one thing to build a community. That's great. I love your Jameson community, everything but the reason you speak, I think, and the reason we go out and do what we do is because we know at the practice level we can make an impact.
Yeah,
And I don't know about you, but when I was grunting all those years of, being an office manager and answering the phone and billing the insurance and doing all the things, you know, if I knew at that point someone was there going, gosh, Lorie, how do we make this better for you? How do
yeah,
we take this system and make it this? I was excited to put the colored stickers on the charts. Look how good my charts
yeah.
look. All my stickers are lined up. Oh, look at all the Smiths. I got tons of Smiths. I love those colors. I mean, it's the small things, right? And you're
Mhm.
either a person who is going to embrace and open your arms to change, or you're going to be more skeptical. And as leaders, it is our job to define who you are, where you are, why you're there, get curious about it, and then lead you to the ultimate adoption, which is, you may not trust me today, but let me show you what's going to happen for a better tomorrow.
Oh, I love that. Let me show you what's gonna happen for a better tomorrow. I love that. Lori, where can people find more information from you?
Oh my goodness, all kinds of places. So Lorie Streeter maxed out, Instagram and TikTok. I try to keep my Facebook page private for family and friends.
Yeah.
However, I haven't met a friend I didn't like accept, so that's always that. But also, working at MaxAssist, we have an unbelievable software product, and I really want to share it with people. So if for some reason you'd love to see it, I think it's one of the best productivity tools out there. I'd love for people to do that. MaxAssist.com. You can always message us, as for me, and I'd be happy to do a demo. I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, it's just a few minutes, but at the end of the day, be open and curious to what could be out there that you don't know about. So it's a very exciting time for me.
I love that. There's some buzz going about Max Assist, and I'm sure you're playing a huge role in that, Lori. So,
All right.
congratulations to you in this next chapter, and so many wise words shared. So definitely go find Lori on her social media channels, Instagram, TikTok, and know that she's bringing a lot of positive energy into our profession. And so, if you need a little positive energy in your life, go find Lori. And Lori, I'm sure glad I found you over the years. So thank you for being
Same.
with me today. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, friend. Thank you so much.
And thanks to all of you for joining us for another episode. Until next time, be well, and I'll see you around the corner. Take care.